I am very glad that at this meeting, which was summoned, which has summoned authorities from science and technology from our countries, that you have made solid progress on creating a unified ALBA team for a center to develop artificial intelligence for ALBA TCP. That's a great decision, a great step. Luckily, in our countries, we have lucid minds, scientists, first-class scientists, who will guarantee an impeccable work on this line of work. It's also very important, all the proposals made, so that scientific institutions of our countries at different levels might develop areas that have to do with microbiology, biotechnology. It was Fidel Castro in the 1980s who started talking about biotechnology when most people didn't know what that word meant. The first time I remember having heard the idea of developing an independent biotechnological model was in 1986 by Fidel Castro. There was no internet, there was none of that. The only thing that we had was the edition of Grammar International, the Cuban journal, which reached our embassy here. And it spoke about nanotechnology, physiology, chemistry, regenerative medicine, catalytic medicine, biology, computational chemistry, telecommunications, archaeology, medicinal chemistry, and many other areas of scientific sharing for developing the future. The world ahead will be defined by the development of science, technology, and knowledge, and we are ready to join that world and develop our capacities. Today we can say from ALBA, and if we say it together, because the unity of our peoples is larger than their integration. Because integration is about different parts coming together, but union is fusion of all our strength, of the knowledge, of education, and its expression in innovation technology. The union gets built as a network. And it establishes multidimensional foundations for every aspect of society in this century. It's very important creating a bank for scientific projects for the great capacity Cuba has, which is an avant-garde country in this regard. And the capacities that we have been developing with a great mission of science and technology, and the capacities of each of our country. The issue of telemedicine, an advanced method which is already being implemented in many of our countries. If anyone has developed that concept, and today we can start sharing that concept, it would be Cuban medicine. So I want to congratulate and thank from Caracas, from ALBA, all governments and peoples of the Caribbean for their loving, strong reply to this garbage of a political man, Marco Rubio, abstaining the moral and honor of Cuban doctors, of Cuban medicine, in that recent tour he had through the region. He came looking for wool, and he left without any single thing. We have lots of things to talk about Cuban medicine. Deep in our countryside, deep in our low-income neighborhoods, we have the loving hand of Cuban doctors who have saved many people. With science and love, they have been taking care of people through missions founded in 2003. In April, it will be 22 years of such missions. In Venezuela, we have witnessed through that mission what humane medicine, healing medicine means. So Bruno, salute on my behalf, Cuban General Raúl Castro Ruz and the President Canel Bermudez and all of the Cuban people which might be watching this work meeting right now through teleSUR. They know that developing this mission of health, when it started in Venezuela for many years, it was a target of the Venezuelan right, a permanent target, and they attacked the mission. But the people noticed the humility, the knowledge, the attitude, the disposition of Cuban doctors right there in their neighborhoods or in their area. And it's one of the great achievements of the Cuban Revolution, of Fidel Castro. In Venezuela, we have, just like in Cuba, you have Fidel and Che Guevara as a paradigm of a revolutionary doctor. We also have a paradigm in Venezuela, which was canonized by Pope Francis, declaring him a saint, Saint Jose Gregorio Hernandez, a good man, who using the values of Jesus Christ, he wanted to become a monk, a priest, but he couldn't. But he served God and he served our Lord Jesus Christ through social medicine, which as a concept it did not exist 100 years ago, but today does. And Jose Gregorio Hernandez, here in north of Caracas, close to where you were today, climbing to the north of the mountain, there was a parish, La Pastora. He had his house over there. The house is still there. He was a man of science as well. He was one of the pioneers in Venezuela and in Latin America of microbiology. He wrote an impressive treatise on microbiology a little over 100 years ago, a man of faith. He was a missionary, what we would call a missionary. And he took care, he was very famous for his skills as a doctor. He would take care of the most simple people. We could say that he was the founder of the medical missions, because he went to every house where there was a person sick, and he would apply changes in those houses, the changes that he thought were needed for the health of the family, and he would assign treatments. And if the person would not have money to buy medicine, he would buy them himself from his own pocket. When in 1902, the European countries, powers, came over here with over 20 warships and attacked the Guaira port, the port of Zulia. Do you know why that happened? 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago, they were coming to claim the debts generated during the independence wars. The debt that they said Venezuela had with them, and it was on the contrary. It was Europe who was in debt with us because of slavery, for taking our pearls, our gold, for reaping the continent of natural resources. And they sent warships with a strategy to occupy Venezuela. And that man, who was a man of faith, and with his science, as soon as he heard of what was happening, he went and registered with the army, and he wanted to have a rifle to defend his country. A man of faith, a social service man, an example of Christian morality, which is the true socialist morality, and more than anything, he was a patriot ready to defend his country against imperialist aggressors. He is our paradigm. And with Jose Gregorio, 22 years later, we are celebrating his sanctification, and we are celebrating that the Barrio Adentro mission today has first-rate Cuban doctors and specialists, which with their humane practice are decrying everything that Marco Rubio has been saying. So if you allow me, from our Bolivarian heart, we are thanking Cubans, doctors, for their bravery. To all of you, ministers,